All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're decoding the Nebraska DMV manual into your absolute ultimate survival guide for getting and keeping your driver's license. If you're a teenager in Nebraska gearing up to take your driving exam, well, you're in the exact right place. We're going to cut right through all the boring legal jargon and focus strictly on what you need to know to pass that test, grab those keys, and most importantly, keep them safely in your pocket. So let's just dive right in with the most important question on your mind. Are you actually prepared to crush this test and hit the road? Look, getting your license is a massive milestone. It's pure freedom, right? But the state of Nebraska wants to make absolutely sure you truly understand the rules of the road before they hand over that kind of privilege. Think of this explainer as your cheat code. Well, your highly legal, highly informative study guide to make sure you walk into that DMV feeling completely confident. To get you exam ready, here's our game plan. We'll be covering license basics and restrictions, suspensions, revocations, and impoundments, the Nebraska point system, major driving violations, and finally, zero tolerance under 21. Let's kick things off with Section 1, License Basics and Restrictions. You know, a driver's license isn't exactly one size fits all. The DMV actually customizes your driving privileges using specific letter-coded restrictions based on your personal needs or limitations. For the exam, it's absolutely vital to know a few of the common ones. For example, Restriction B means you must wear your glasses or contacts while driving. If you get pulled over without them, you're driving outside your restrictions. AG restriction limits you strictly to daylight driving, so say goodbye to those late-night fast food runs. There's also Q for no interstate driving, or V, which traps you in a specific geographical area. Knowing these letters inside and out is essential. Now, here's a crucial point, and this is a super common test question, by the way. Your under 21 license doesn't last the standard 5 years like an adult license does. In Nebraska, your license magically turns into a pumpkin right on your 21st birthday. The state does this on purpose so they can issue you a brand new adult license, which is usually horizontal instead of vertical once you cross that age threshold. Just lock that expiration rule into your memory. Moving right along to Section 2, losing your license, the vocabulary. Okay, so you really need to nail down 4 critical vocab words for the exam, starting with the legal difference between a suspension and a revocation. A suspension is essentially a timeout. It's just the temporary removal of your valid license. A revocation, however, that's a whole different beast. It actually strips the privilege away entirely for a specific set period of time. And when a revocation is over, the DMV doesn't just cheerfully hand your license back. You usually have to jump through several legal hoops and pay some hefty fees to get that privilege reinstated. Then we have the other 2 ways you can lose your license, impoundment and confiscation. Impoundment is a formal court order. The judge looks at you, orders you not to drive for a specific time frame, seizes your physical license, and holds it at the courthouse. Confiscation, though, that happens right out there on the street. A law enforcement officer will just take your license immediately if you refuse or fail an alcohol test, handing you a 15-day temporary paper license instead, basically so you can get your affairs in order before your driving privileges go totally dark. All right, let's get into Section 3, the Nebraska point system. So the point system is basically a game where you absolutely positively do not want the high score. 12 is the magic or, well, tragic number here. Accumulating 12 points in a 2-year period puts you in the ultimate danger zone. Hitting exactly 12 points triggers an automatic revocation of your operator's license for a full 6 months. No driving to school, no driving to work, no driving to hang out with friends. Half a year just gone. And man, these points add up fast. When you break down the numbers, major offenses like a 3rd DUI or motor vehicle homicide hit that 12-point limit instantly. Bam, game over. But look a little closer at the everyday stuff. Leaving the scene of a crash, your very first DUI, or willful reckless driving will cost you 6 points. That is halfway to losing your license from a single bad decision. And texting? Just using a handheld device to read or send a text costs you 3 points. Even minor speeding, just 1 to 5 miles per hour over the limit, tacks on 1 point. The state's message is loud and clear here: put the phone down and pay attention. Now, if you're wondering how long a mistake like that is going to haunt you, the timeline goes a little something like this. The moment you're convicted, the points are assessed to your driving record based on the exact date the violation happened. The good news? 2 years after that date, those points stop counting toward your 12-point limit. But the bad news? The actual conviction stays cemented on your driving record for a full 5 years, which means your auto insurance rates are probably going to be sky high for half a decade. Here is a fantastic survival trick for the exam and, real life.
If you find yourself racking up points, you can actually knock 2 points off your record by taking a DMV-approved driver improvement course. But there's a catch. A couple, actually. You can only use this trick once every 5 years. And, this is the kicker, you must successfully complete the course before you hit that 12-point limit. You absolutely cannot take it after your license is already revoked to try and magically win it back.
Next up, Section 4, Major Driving Violations. Okay, we are officially entering instant game over territory. A huge concept to grasp here is administrative license revocation, or ALR. This law basically authorizes law enforcement to immediately confiscate your license on the spot if you fail or even refuse a chemical test for alcohol or drugs. They'll hand you that 15-day temporary license we talked about earlier. After those 15 days, if it's your first time failing the test, you're looking at a 180-day revocation. But incredibly, simply refusing to take the test entirely is penalized even worse, giving you an automatic 1-year revocation. Another major violation is fleeing. Let me just be crystal clear on this one. Never, ever try to run from the cops. If you flee to avoid a simple traffic ticket, you're committing a Class I misdemeanor, and yes, your license can be revoked. But if you flee to avoid an arrest for a felony, you instantly elevate your crime to a Class 4 felony. In both scenarios, you are risking serious jail time and the total loss of your driving privileges. It is literally never worth it to run.
And look, if you do lose your license to a revocation, getting it back is a massive headache. It's not cheap and it's not easy. First, obviously, you have to pay all your court fines and wait out the entire revocation period. Second, you have to complete a 4-hour DMV-approved driver's ed course entirely out of your own pocket. And third, you have to provide an SR-22. This is proof of financial responsibility from an insurance company, and you have to maintain this incredibly expensive, high-risk insurance for 3 full years just to keep driving legally.
Finally, Section 5, Zero Tolerance Under 21. This is the big one for you guys. These are the specific, highly tested rules that apply strictly to drivers under the age of 21. Nebraska does not mess around here. They have absolute zero tolerance for teen drivers, period. If you're caught drinking and driving with a blood alcohol level of just 0.02%, which realistically is a fraction of a single drink, it triggers an automatic 30-day court impoundment of your license. But it's not even just driving. Minor and possession charges, juvenile drug offenses, and even completely non-driving related juvenile court offenses can all cost you your license. Let's break down just how strict this escalation is. For things like minor in possession, which means you're literally just holding a drink at a party, and juvenile drug offenses, the penalty ramps up fast. Your first offense means the court impounds your license for 30 days. Get caught a second time, it's 90 days. Get caught a third time, the penalty absolutely skyrockets to a massive 12-month impoundment. You will literally be walking or riding the bus for an entire year. And please remember, the courts have incredibly broad power here. Literally any juvenile court conviction at all, even for offenses that have absolutely zero to do with cars or driving, allows the judge to impound your license for 30 days. And hey, if you're taking the test soon and don't even have your license yet, the judge can legally delay your ability to even get one for 30 days. Your behavior outside the car completely dictates your freedom inside the car. So we've covered the basics, the vocab, the point system, and those heavy under 21 penalties. You officially have the cheat code to the Nebraska DMV manual. Getting your keys is just the very first step. Keeping them is the real test. Your driver's license is a ticket to absolute freedom. But with rules this strict, are you mature enough to keep that freedom from becoming a trap? Study hard, think smart, and we'll see you out on the road. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.